and welcome back to my channel. My name is Trish and today is going to be my September and October book ranking. I do like ranking makeup products and pretty much everything, so this is just going to be ranking my books that I read in September and October from my least favorite to my most favorite. Now, just because it ranks low on this doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the book, and I'll make sure I distinguish if I actually enjoyed it or not when I'm doing the ranking. But if that is something that interests you, just go ahead and keep watching. First, if you have yet to subscribe, please go ahead and smash that subscribe button. It really does help me out and it costs you nothing. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's ranking video. Okay, so I have 12 books to get through, so I'm going to try to speed through this as quick as possible without missing anything. But ranked number 12 and my least favorite book that I read over September and October is going to be The Wise and the Wicked by Rebecca Podos. Now, this book is not a bad book. I did actually enjoy reading the book, but out of all the books that I read, this is like the least memorable. So when I was actually getting ready for this ranking and I was looking through the books that I had read, I actually had to reread this to remember what the book was about. So that right there tells me it's not a very memorable book, so that is why this ranks at number 12. But this does follow a family of witches who can see the day that they die. And it has always been accurate, and then one day it's not, which gives the main character hope that perhaps she can change her destiny and not die on the day that she foresaw. So it's a very, I will say it was a very fun read, but it's not one that, will stick out in the future for me to reread, if that makes sense. So this is ranked number 12. Ranked number 11 is The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. Now, this one I actually did really enjoy reading, and this is a good book. This is just ranked low because out of all the books I read, this is, I don't want to say my least favorite out of my favorites. Does that make sense? But this is really good. It follows siblings, 4 siblings who went and saw a gypsy who told them the day that they were going to die. This is a lifespan book, and it does follow each sibling throughout their life to figure out if the gypsy did foretell the right day, the day that they were going to die. I enjoyed this book. It was a really good read. I don't think I would read it again, but I did enjoy this one. The number 10? Yeah. The number 10 book is going to be the Nora Roberts The Liar book. And I do like some Nora Roberts books. And this just happened to be one that I really, really liked. It follows a lady who husband died, and he left her in a lot of debt. And as she's looking into it, and I don't want to give away too much, I don't want to do spoilers, but we'll just say as she's looking into it, her husband is not quite the person she thought he was, hence the name, The Liar. But this was a really good book. It was a really quick read. I mean, it is a very thick book, but it was a quick read for me because I didn't want to put it down. So I did like this book. Number 9 is going to be Murder is Binding by Lorna Barrett, and this is just a murder mystery book. It is a typical murder mystery book. If you like the Tea Shop murder mysteries, you will like this one. It didn't stick out. I've been reading a lot of murder mysteries. It's Halloween time, but this one did not stick out very much to me out of all of the ones that I have read previously. So I did enjoy it. I do enjoy murder mysteries. This one was just not very memorable. This one is following a bookstore. It's a small town where there are a bunch of different bookstores, and the owner of the cooking bookstore dies, and the owner, of course, of the murder mystery bookstore is trying to figure it out. So good read, very quick read, very small. very short read, not small, very short read, but I did appreciate it. Like I said, Tea-Shop Mysteries, if you like it, this is for you. The next one is going to be Ginny Colgan's The Bookshop on the Shore. Now, I read another one of her books first, and then I read this one, and I much preferred the other one to this one. She writes some very good, just heartwarming, wholesome books. That doesn't mean that there isn't any conflict in it. It just means that they slowly work through the issues that do come. Now, The Bookshop on the Shore follows a single mother who is moving away to be a nanny, and she's taking her son, who doesn't speak, with her to be the nanny of this family that she has never met in a place she has never been. And it's a very heartwarming story, and I do like this book. It is she has quickly become one of my favorite authors, and I have 2 more books of hers lined up to read in December, but the 2 books that I read in these 2 months were great, and I do highly recommend this one, even though it is ranked very low. Just good fun book. The next one is my first manga I have ever read, and it is A Man and His Cat. Now, I fell down the booktube rabbit hole sometime in September, and that's how a lot of these came to be. But this one here, I actually found in the comments of a booktuber that I watch, How to Train Your Gavin. I'll have him linked below. He's hysterical. But one of his subscribers actually had mentioned if you wanted a good, clean, wholesome manga to try this out, and everybody in my family reads manga except for me, so I did give this a go, and it is very heartwarming. It is a very good manga, and yes, I'm gonna buy the rest in the series. This is book 1, and I believe there is book 6, so I absolutely adored this book. Okay, so this next book, we're going from heartwarming to like gut-wrenching, screaming at the book and the main character. We have Pam Jenoff and The Orphan's Tale. Now, you guys, this is based back in the persecution of the Jews. So this follows the main character who had to give her child up for adoption, and she's working at a train station because her family had kicked her out, and she finds a bunch of Jewish babies that are heading to be killed, and she decides to save one of them, and she takes him and joins a circus, and it's about the trust building between the circus performers and her, and it's a very, it boils down to friendship and trust is the basis of this book, but it was so good, and it was one of those, literally, I was yelling at a book. Probably not the best thing to say, but I was yelling at a book, and I love that. I have another one of her books that I cannot wait to read, but I do recommend this one if you like historical fiction. The next one is The Good, the Bad, and the Witchy by Heather Blake. This is another murder mystery, but this one has the twist of being a witchcraft or a witchcraft mystery, which is like a witch. It's based in a town that is full of witches, and I liked this one more, I think, because it was more atmospheric, because it is more towards like autumn and fall and witches, and I think that's why this one placed a little bit higher than the other murder mystery I was reading. It was more atmospheric, so I did enjoy this one. I thought it was a really good. The main character in this is a witchcraft witch, which means she can grant wishes, just not her own, and she is trying to solve a murder. So it's a very good, fun read, especially around this time of year. So I do recommend that one. And what is a book ranking without an Agatha Christie book? And this was Death on the Nile. I saw the movie, I wanted to read her book, and I picked it up. It was a very good book. If you have seen the movie, I wouldn't necessarily suggest that you read this book, because this book and the movie, they literally follow the exact same lines. There is no ad-libs, there's no anything. And me having seen the movie and having seen the movie recently, that was a little bit redundant, but I love the writing style, so I will be reading more of Agatha Christie's, but this book is very similar to the movie. Just saying, if you've seen the movie, I wouldn't recommend you read this one. But it is ranking high because I really enjoyed it. we are into my top 3, and my third highest ranked is going to be The Bookshop on the Corner by Jenny Coogan. You guys, this is the one that catapulted me into liking Jenny Coogan, so I read the other one, The Bookshop on the Shore, and I really, really enjoyed this. This lady in this book is probably living my dream life. She got downsized from a library and decided to start selling books out of a van. And this follows her story for that. I try not to give too many spoilers. If I'm giving spoilers, yell at me in the comments. But this follows her story of trying to start the bookshop selling business out of a van, and it's a really good book. Again, one of the heartwarming ones that does have trials in it, and but they're solved and they're resolved in a real world type of way. It's not like magically resolved. So I do like this, and I did love this book, obviously, because I bought like, 4 more of her books. So this was rated my number 3 book. My number 2 is very atmospheric, and we've got The Hunting of Prince Dracula by Carrie Maniscalco. Carrie Maniscalco? Sure. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name. But this was very good. She's actually writing it in a series. The Jack the Ripper one was the first, and then there's a Houdini one after this one. I will say it would probably help if you read the Jack the Ripper one first, because there was parts of this, especially at the beginning, that I was like, I wish I knew what was going on here with that. And they were referencing the previous book, but this was a good book in and of itself. And once you get past that first, I would say first like 70 pages of it, where you're like, what is going on? That sounds like something that I should have read first. This is a good book, and it's a good standalone book, and it does have a few twists in it, and I really enjoyed this. I don't want to tell you too much about this one, because if I try to, I know I'm going to end up spoiling this one, but I will, on this one alone, read the back, just like part right here of this, and it says, a man impaled by a sharp wooden stake, a young chambermaid drained of her blood. They say it's Prince Dracula arisen from the dead. I say it's the living, not the dead, we should fear the most. It's a good book. It's rated my number 2, and I loved it. I gave this one to my husband, and he immediately read it and loved it too. And we are very interested in reading her Houdini one and the Jack the Ripper one, honestly, even though I wasn't interested in that one to start with. So, good book. So my number 1 favorite, if you've ever read this book, I'm sure you know why it's my number 1 favorite, but it is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And I love this book, and my husband loved this book. My top 2 books, both me and my husband loved. And we couldn't put them down. You reach a certain part in this book where you're just like, I need to know. It is a necessity. I have to know before I sleep tonight what the outcome is. And I love that. And it follows 2 magicians, if you want to say, sure, but it follows 2 magicians who are pitted against each other, not by their own accord or not by their own wishes. They were just pitted against each other by their teachers to see which one is the best. And the Night Circus is actually the arena that they are using to compete. So it was a very interesting book. I can't wait. I hear that they're making this into a movie or a TV series. I'm not sure which one, but I can't wait to see if they do this book justice, because there are certain things like the clock that when they're describing it in this book, you're like, not even CGI can make that look as awesome as it sounds in the book. So I'm really hoping they do it justice, but this is a great read. And it's very atmospheric. I 100% agree with all the other booktubers out there that this is a great read for October. So this is going to be my number 1 book. And with that is all the books that I read in September and October. I hope you enjoyed this type of ranking video. If you did, again, like, comment, subscribe. It really does help me out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.